Nice. Well, thanks for being here today. It's nice just the two of us for a change. Let's lift our spine up nice and tall and resting your hands either on your knees or in your lap, just wherever it feels comfortable for you, and softening your eyes. We're going to come to our breathing. Just taking a few breaths and notice how your body's feeling. Just breathing in and out, noticing the rise and fall of your chest. And we're going to start to lengthen our breath. So we're going to breathe in as you count 4 to yourself, pause, and then breathe out as you count 6 to yourself. So we're lengthening out our breath, arriving in our moment. So let's take a deep breath in, pause, and then long, slow breath out. And continue on at your own pace. Welcome, Caroline. So continue on with that breathing and just keep your eyes soft, and I'll talk to you about our practice today. We're going to be focusing on balance and protecting our energy. As we're opening up more and more, there's a lot more people we're coming into contact with, and there's a lot more energy in the system. There's satellites and Wi-Fi's and all sorts of things. So it's important that we keep ourselves balanced and protected. And some things that you can do when you wake up in the morning, you can surround yourself in a white light or a cocoon of a blue light. When you're going into busy places, if you're going into a train station or an airport or somewhere where there's a lot of people, just protecting yourself in that way, just cocooning yourself in white or blue light. And also as we move through, if we get things that maybe disappoint us or whatever, just accept it and know that whatever is coming in, whatever, let's say you were having an appointment and somebody's cancelled, it's just about saying, oh, thanks for letting me know, and knowing that something else is going to come in that's going to fill that space. So just keeping yourself balanced and protected. Let's take a couple more of those long, deep breaths and even longer breathing out. And then coming down off your block or your blanket, having your legs straight out in front. And we're going to breathe in and clasp our hands and pressing our palms up towards the ceiling, flexing our feet, and then taking our hands forward, bringing them down to your toes or your ankles or your shins. Just take a couple of breaths here, connecting with the stretch down the back of your legs and your lower back. Each time you exhale, allow yourself to surrender into the pose a little more. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then release your hands and bending the right leg and bringing it over the top of the left leg. Bringing the left hand to the right knee and the right hand behind you. And twisting your body around, looking over your right shoulder and drawing the knee towards the left side. Let's take a few breaths here. Nice base twist, nice tall spine. Imagine you've got a string coming up from your base of your spine, up through the spine and up through the crown of your head. Just lifting you up nice and tall. Couple more breaths. And then exhale and relax and come to the other side. So bending the left leg up this time and bringing the left leg to the right side. Right hand on your left knee, left hand behind you. And twisting your body around, looking over the left shoulder and drawing the knee towards the right side. Taking a couple of breaths. And then release it, come back to the front. And we'll come into cat-cow pose. So having your knees underneath your hips and opening up your fingers, pressing your palms down into the earth and moving your body in a circle. Going one way and then the other way, just getting some movement into your spine and into your hips and your shoulders, and also stretching out your wrists. And turning your wrists out so your fingers are pointing out towards the sides of the mat. We do a lot of work with our wrists and it's nice to give them a stretch. And then place one hand if you can, if it works for you, fingers pointing back towards the knee. And then change it to the other hand. And then bring them back to a forward position. Let's do a couple of rounds of cat-cow. We're going to inhale, lift up our chest and raise our gaze. Nice curve in the spine. And then exhale, come up into cat and stretching up like a cat, bringing your spine up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, come back down. Let's do a few more rounds, opening up the spaces in your spine and starting to warm up the body. And coming back to our theme for today's practice, so balance and protection. And thinking about that and how you can incorporate that into your yoga practice. Taking your knees wide and bring your buttocks down to your heels and walk your hands forward, coming into child's pose. Surrendering your body down in towards the mat, maybe moving your hips from side to side, opening up the palms, walking your fingers forward and bringing your forehead down to the mat. And taking about 6 nice, long, deep breaths here. And noticing the stretch through the lower back, upper back and the shoulders. Centering yourself for your yoga practice. Tuning into your breath. Two more breaths here, nice, long, slow breaths. And last one. And then coming up to a downward dog, we're going to tuck our toes under, lift our hips up, walking our heels down to the mat, stretching through the back of our legs and just moving from one side to the other. Moving your body around, maybe rocking from side to side or in a circle. And then walking your hands slightly forward and bring your chest forward, coming into a plank so you can bring your knees down here to support your back. And then exhale, bending your elbows and coming down to the mat. And untucking your toes, bringing your forearms down to the mat and squeeze the buttocks and lift the chest into Sphinx pose. And then exhale, coming back down. Slide your hands back and then coming back into plank. So you can have your knees down if you wish, or come up. And then exhale, come all the way back down again. Bring the forehead down to the mat and the forearms. Inhale, lift up, squeeze the buttocks, bring the shoulder blades together. And then exhale, come back down to the mat. Inhale, come up to plank again. So come up to the knees or to the toes. And then exhale, slowly coming back down. And then bring the forehands down to the mat. Inhale, lift up, squeeze the buttocks. And then bring the forehead back down to the mat and just looking to one side, bending your knees and taking your feet from one side to the other, just loosening off any tension you might have in the lower back. And then bring your feet back down to the mat and bring your hands slightly back and come back up to downward dog. Just pressing your hips up towards the sky, stretching your heels down towards the earth. Take a couple of breaths here. And then walk your feet out wide and walk your hands underneath you, coming up to a wide-legged forward bend, and heel toe your feet out a little wider. And allow the crown of your head to point down towards the mat and walk your hands underneath your body. So coming into our inversion, and take some nice long breaths here. And coming back into our theme of our practice around balance and protection. And just thinking about surrounding yourself in a cocoon of white light to protect your energy. Connecting with the stretch down the back of the legs and the upper back and head, just letting them hang there, opening up the spaces in your vertebrae. And walking our hands forward, lifting our chest and lengthening our back. Heel toe your feet a little closer together. So we've got a forward bend, but with our feet about hip width apart this time. And from here, we're going to bend our left leg and straighten our right leg. And then we'll inhale, lift up our right arm and look up towards the sky. So we're getting a nice stretch and twist. And then exhale, bring the right hand down, bend the right leg and straighten the left leg. Inhale, lift up the left arm. So noticing the twist through the chest and noticing the stretch through the left leg. Exhale, bring the left hand down, bend the left leg, straighten the right leg, and inhale, lift up the right arm. Just going from side to side. Let's go one more round on each side. And then walking your hands forward into a downward dog, pressing the heels down towards the mat again. Take a couple of breaths here and noticing the stretch through the back of the legs, paddling one heel and then the other, and then bringing these down to the mat, coming into tabletop. And from here, we're going to take our right leg and bring it forward next to the right hand. And we're going to walk the foot in between the two hands. If you have a block here, you might want to use the block to lift you up a little bit. If not, that's okay. And then we're going to lengthen out that leg. Just go side on so you can see. So lengthening out the leg and lifting the toes and stretching through the back of the leg. That's it. Let's take a couple of breaths here, softening your eyes and connecting with the stretch through the back of that right leg. And then bring your chest forward and bring the right hand inside the right foot and lengthen out the left leg, coming into lizard pose. So you can see the lizard. That's it. Now from here, you can stay where you are, or you can tuck the left toes under and lift the left knee up off the mat. And just moving that hip a little bit, getting a nice opening through the right hip. And then we're going to inhale, lifting up the right hand. So inhale, lift up, and come into a lizard twist. So stretching through the glute on the right side and the hips and the quadricep on the left side, and opening up through the chest, gazing up towards the hand. And then exhale, bring the right hand down, bring the left knee down, and come back to tabletop. And then we'll go to the other side. So we're going to step forward with the left leg and walk that leg in towards the middle of the two hands, and then lengthen out the leg. That's it. Yeah. So look, gazing forwards towards the top of your mat and connecting with the stretch down the back of the left leg. Let's take a couple of breaths here. And then inhale, bring the chest forward and bring the left hand inside the left foot. And then we're going to lift up our right knee, coming into lizard pose, opening up through the hips. All this hip opening and glute work is really good for lower back stiffness. Then inhale, lift up the left hand and look up towards the left hand. So you're coming into lizard twist. Take a couple of breaths here and notice the stretch through the left glute. And then exhale, bring the knee back down and bring your hand back down. Come back into tabletop and then come into child's pose. And bring your hands forward, bring your forehead down to the mat. And take a couple of breaths here. Just relaxing into the mat and banking all the energy and all the stretching that you've done. Coming back to your white cocoon of protection. And then coming up to tabletop, walk your hands back and lift up the hips into downward dog. Take your feet wide, walk your hands up underneath you into a wide-legged forward bend. Let the crown of your head point down towards the mat and heel toe your feet out a little wider. Let's take a few breaths here. Coming back into the inversion. So these are great for your immunity and great for your lymphatic system and your cardiovascular system. Checking in with your body, noticing how you're feeling, acknowledging any areas that might be a little stiff, acknowledging any thoughts that might be coming in and going out. Just let them go. Let's take 2 more deep, long breaths here. And then walk your hands forward, lift your chest and stretch the back, lengthen through the back. Heel toe your feet a little closer together and coming up to standing. Give your body a little shake, coming to the back of the mat. Okay, we're going to do a warrior sequence here. So coming to the back of the mat and turning the left foot out slightly. Step forward with the right foot. Inhale, lift up the chest. Raise your gaze and raise your arms, bending the right leg. Having the right knee over the right ankle. And reaching up nice and tall towards the ceiling. And connecting through the stretch in your left hip. Let's take a couple of breaths, really stretching out with the hands, reaching up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, take the right hand forward, left hand back into warrior 2. And elongating out through the hands, keeping it nice and strong through the right leg. And then inhale, lift up the right hand, slide the left hand down the back of the left leg, and reach up, feeling a nice stretch through the right side of your body. Take a couple of nice deep breaths here. And then exhale, cartwheel your hands back down to the mat. And we're going to place the right hand next to the right foot. If you have a block, you can place it there. And then inhale, lift up and lengthen out the right leg, coming into triangle pose. That's it, opening up through the chest. Nice stretch through the back of the right leg. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And then exhale, bring the left hand down. And inhale, lift up the right hand and come into a triangle twist. And noticing the stretch through the front of the chest, but also through the right glute and the right hamstring. One more breath here. And then exhale, bring the right hand down to the mat and come back up to standing. Give your legs a little shake. And coming back to the mat again, turning the right toes out, step forward with the left. Inhale, lift up your chest, your arms, and your gaze. Bending the left knee over the left ankle and reaching up nice and tall and connecting with the stretch down the right hip flexor. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Reach up a little higher and then take the left hand forward, right hand back into warrior two. Nice and strong through the left leg. Squeezing the shoulder blades, lengthening through the hands. And then inhale, lift up the left hand, slide the right hand down the back of the leg and raise the left hand as high as you can, stretching down the left side of the body. This is reverse warrior. One more breath, and then cartwheel your hands down. Bringing the left hand inside the left foot. If you have your block, you can use that. Placing the left hand down, lengthening out the left leg. Inhale, lift up the right hand and looking up towards the right hand. So coming into triangle. Connecting with the stretch through the chest and through the back of the left leg. Couple more breaths here. And then exhale, bring the right hand down. Inhale, lift up the left hand into a triangle twist. And notice the stretch down the back of the left leg. One more breath. And then exhale, bring the left hand down. Inhale, come back up to standing. Give your legs a nice shake. Okay, let's come back to our breath. So softening our eyes and having our feet about hip width apart, bring our hands to our heart center and come back to our purpose of our practice around protecting our energy and our balance. Just take a few breaths and just notice how you're feeling. Covering yourself in a white cocoon or a blue cocoon, protecting your energy. And then from here, we're going to go into a balance pose, opening up the toes in our right foot and moving our hips in a circle. And then lifting up the left leg. Either you can have the toes next to the foot or come up with your foot next to your calf muscle with the knee pointing out and bring your hands to heart center. Nice. Find your drishti point to help you with your balance. And just calming the body down, coming into a nice balanced position. Bring the knee out a little further. Coming back to your breath. You're going to stay here for 4 or 5 more breaths. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. And give your legs a little shake. And then let's go to the other side. So opening up our left toes and moving our hips in a circle, connecting with the anchor points under the left foot. And then bringing your right toe next to your left foot and bringing that up to where it's comfortable for you today. It could be off your calf or off your inner thigh. And bring your hands up to heart center. Take the knee out to the side a little more. And then find your drishti point. Calming down the breath, coming into balance. Let's take a few more breaths here. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Well done. Nice balancing, Julianne. Excellent work. Okay, from here we're going to come into a yogi squat. So if you have a blanket or something that you can roll up and put under your heels, this will help to support you in this one. Maybe you can even use the end of your mat, roll up a little bit and bring your heels onto it. And then we're going to have our feet about hip width apart with our toes pointing out. And we're going to come down into a deep squat, having your chest up, using your elbows to gently press outwards. That's it. Look out, Olive. That's it. So bring your chest up nice and tall. That's it. It's coming in nice and balanced. Coming back to your breath. Connecting with the stretch through the hips. So we're opening up through the hips nicely and nice and balanced. Let's hold this for about a minute more. Just coming back to your breath and to your drishti point. Getting some nice flexibility and stretch into the lower calves and the ankles. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And release our hands down in front of us. And then lengthening out our legs, coming into a forward bend. Stretching out the back of the legs, allowing the head to fall heavy. Just take a couple of breaths here. And then coming down onto the mat, onto our backs. Laying on your back and hug your knees up to your chest. And just moving your hips in a circular direction, giving your lumbar spine a little massage, releasing any tension you might feel in that area. And then reaching through the middle of your knees towards the edge of your feet and lift your feet up into happy baby. So the soles of your feet are pointing up towards the ceiling, flattening out the back. It's a very similar position to what we just did in the yogi pose, using your elbows. You can gently press out the knees. So you're getting a nice stretch through the groin and flattening out the lower back, taking any tension you might have in the lower back. And then release your hands, let your feet come down to the mat. So your knees are bent, and we're going to pick up our right foot and bend the leg so that the outside of the right leg is across the front of the left thigh, and then hug that up to the chest, coming into a reverse pigeon pose. And you might like to clasp your hands around the left thigh or the left shin. Bring the upper back and head back down to the mat, coming back to your breathing and gently stretching. So connecting with the stretch through the right glute and the right ITB, releasing any tension you might have in the lower back. Let's take a couple more breaths here. And then release your hands, bring the left foot down to the mat. Use your left hand to grab the outside of the right knee and draw that across to the left side. So you're coming into a twist. The right arm can be in a cactus position or straight out from the shoulder, gazing towards the right side. So drawing that knee, the right knee towards the left side, so coming into a nice deep stretch down the right side of the body, allowing the back of your shoulders to come down to the mat and feeling the stretch through the front of the chest. Let's take a couple of breaths. On each exhale, allow yourself to surrender a little more into the twist. And then on the next inhale, release the knee, bring both legs back to center and swap your legs over. So this time, right foot on the ground, raising the left leg, bending it across the front of the right thigh and hugging that up towards your chest. So you might reach through and be holding on to the left leg, or reach through the gap in the middle to the right back of the right thigh or the right shin, depending on how your body feels on that side. Taking a few breaths here and connecting with the stretch on the left glute and the left ITB. Taking some nice long deep breaths. And on each exhalation, allow yourself to surrender a little more into the stretch, releasing the tension on that left glute. And then release your hands, bring the right foot down to the mat. Bring the right hand to the left knee and draw that knee across to the right side and gazing towards the left side, keeping the upper back on the mat so you've got a nice stretch through the chest as well. Let's take a few breaths here. And connecting with the stretch right down the left side of the body. Two more breaths here. And then inhale, bring your knees back to center. Uncross your legs and then hug both knees to the chest. And you might rock from side to side or roll in a circle one way and then the other way. Whatever feels right for you. Then placing your feet on the ground and taking your heels close to your buttocks, palms face down on the mat, and we're going to inhale, lift up the hips and come up into bridge pose. Taking your hands underneath you and clasping them, walking your shoulders together and lift up a little higher, pushing through the heels, squeezing the buttocks and connecting through the stretch in the front of the thighs, through the hips and also through the glutes. Take a couple of breaths here. Then release your hands, bring your hips down to the mat, hug up your knees to your chest. And from here, we're going to go into our legs up position. So you might have a shoulder stand or legs up against the wall, or a block or a bolster underneath your hips. So as you inhale, lift up into whatever's right for you today. Moving your ankles in a circle. Give your legs a shake so they feel nice and light. Bringing the soles of your feet together, knees out wide like a butterfly. And then draw your feet back up towards the ceiling and take them over the top of your head towards the ground behind you into plow pose. Taking a couple more breaths here. And then on the next inhalation, slowly lower your spine back down to the mat and come into your position for your Savasana. So you might like to have your knees bent to protect your lower back, or you can have them down on the mat. If you have an eye pillow, you might like to put that on. If you have a blanket, you might like to cover yourself up with a blanket to keep all the energy inside. All the nice energy that you've cultivated through your practice. So laying on your back, coming back to your breath, closing your eyes, feeling the earth supporting you underneath your heels, the back of your legs, your lower back, your upper back, your head and shoulders. Relaxing, cocooned in the beautiful energy that you've cultivated in your yoga practice. You're going to enjoy a few minutes of relaxation. Deep relaxation into your breathing, feeling the earth supporting you in your yoga practice. Wrapping yourself in a beautiful cocoon of white light or blue light, protecting and balancing your energy. And noticing the sounds in the distance, and then noticing the sounds in the room without opening your eyes. Visualize the floor, the ceiling, the walls and the windows of the room that you're in. Coming back to your breathing and slowly wiggling your fingers and toes, stretching out your hands and your feet. When you're ready, rolling to one side. Take a few more breaths. And you can stay there if you like, or come up to a comfortable seated position. And getting nice and relaxed and comfortable. Got a couple of quotes for you today for yoga and balancing. Yoga is like life. It's a balance of holding on and letting go. And the second one is, when the light comes from within, balance is inevitable. Thanks for your beautiful yoga practice today, for taking time for yourself. And remember to use those white light and the blue light to protect yourself when you go into crowded situations like a train or a bus, or somewhere like an airport, anywhere like that. Just to protect yourself from all the energy around. Just make sure that you maintain your own beautiful energy. Let's bring our hands to our heart center, and then up to our forehead for kind thoughts, to our lips for kind words, and to our heart for a kind heart. Namaste. How are you feeling?
That was great, Jenny. Thank you very much.